everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I've got for you 10 autumn fragrances, 10 fragrances from my collection I really love, and I think that they are perfect for when the weather starts to get cooler. You could totally wear these in autumn and winter, and some of them you might even be able to wear or want to wear on a cooler summer evening or a cooler spring day. But the title of the video is going to be something like top 10 best fall fragrances, because that's the way you get people to actually click on your video. So yeah, you know, you've got to play the game a little bit. And let's get on with it. They are pretty much all very much cozy, mostly gourmand or teetering on the gourmand category. So I'm just going to jump straight in. There's one I've not worn in ages, so I'm going to make the effort to wear this one very soon, because I remember how much I loved it when I first got it, when I first sampled it. It was Lizzie over at Rose & Jones who sent me the sample. I never expected to fall in love with it. I was curious, I really wanted to try it, and I did fall in love. And it's a replica. Is it at the library? Whispers. It's Whispers in the library. Whispers in the library. So Whispers in the library is it says on here, paper and waxed wood is the fragrance description, and I can kind of see that, but to me it's spraying the air a little bit. To me, it's a little spicy. It's definitely woody. Could say it's papery. Does it smell like books exactly? Not exactly, but kind of. You know how you have that kind of dusty, dry, old smell with old books, and almost a vanillic smell that comes from old books and old paper. You do get that a little bit, but to me this is a vanilla perfume predominantly, not necessarily immediately to start with, but as it works its way through its progression on your skin, you will get quite a lot of vanilla, and to me it's a very good vanilla. And I'm quite fussy. I don't like very highly vanillic perfumes that smell like a pile of cupcake frosting. They make me feel a bit nauseous and they overwhelm me a little bit. This smells like a more natural vanilla, and I guess combined with woods and dry notes, it kind of keeps it tame and not too sweet. To me, this one has amazing longevity on my skin and good projection, and it actually in the dry down starts to remind me of a really special fragrance, a very hard to find fragrance called Iris Ganache from Guerlain. It just reminds me a little bit of that. It's not a dupe for it by any means, but I think if you enjoy the dry down of Iris Ganache, you're probably going to like this. So it's very cozy, very warm, and a very attractive smelling fragrance. So I really need to wear this one because it's been a while, so I'm going to make the effort to wear this one this week. Next up we have Tiger from Francesca Bianchi. Absolutely love this. Had this one on last night for sort of like the last part of my night shift. Really another cozy one. This one has some florals in it. I think it's tuberose and not sure if it's jasmine, I can't remember, but it's definitely white florals, but it's very rich and sumptuous, and there's lots of vanilla and iris. Another sort of a little bit of a woodsiness about it. It just is so cozy. It's called Tiger, and I imagine a cat purring when I smell this, and in actual fact when I wear this I feel like the cat that got the cream, or the cat that's all curled up. You know when you see a cat and they're just sleeping and purring. And they just look like they are loving life, like they are in the best place. And when I wear Tiger, I kind of feel that satisfaction with the scent surrounding me, and it is very cozy. So Tiger from Francesca Bianchi. And this one is by bisons from Ormond Jane. It's from their Route de la Soie collection, the Silk Road collection, and this is another a floral, vanilla, musk. I try and remember the florals in here. It's almost got a slight strawberry, and I think there is a fruit in here. I can't remember what the fruit is now, but it's almost strawberry-esque, but not syrupy, sticky, too sweet. I seem to remember there being freesia in here, but I can't really remember. Couldn't be bothered to look all the notes up. It was 10 fragrances here, give me a chance. But it's definitely got a lot of vanilla in it again. It's musky, it's got it's floral accord and a slightly fruity accord. It's very, it's a good early autumn fragrance in that it's not a really heavy gourmand. It's not very thick and heavy. It's definitely got a lightness to it. So you can get away with this one. It has been a very versatile fragrance really, but a great one for when it starts to get cool because it is very cozy and warming. Now we have Bengal Rouge from Papillon Perfumery, and this is a really rich and sumptuous and velvety. So when you first spray it, to me it's like it smells like honey and lemon with spices, like a hot drink that you might consider to have some health benefits, maybe something that you take to strengthen your immune system and soothe a sore throat. But it's not that it's medicinal exactly, it just has that warming feeling. It's spicy because of the tonka in here. So when you first spray it, you do get that spicy tonka immediately. You don't have to wait for the dry down. And to me, it does smell, I think there is honey in here, and I don't think there's lemon. I just get a lemony feel from it. But there is also lots of sweet stuff, but not too sweet. So when it dries down, it becomes almost like a thick caramel and a hot chocolate, and there's some rose in here just to kind of stop it being too much of a sweet rich fragrance, I guess. And I actually prefer it once it has dried down a little bit. I think right at the beginning, the opening might be a little bit off-putting to some people. It's not off-putting to me, but I don't love it in the same way that I love it once it's dried down a little bit. And that's when it gets really smooth and everything kind of blends out, so nothing's really jutting out. It's all just like this warm, sweet cashmere blanket wrapped around you, and it lasts forever. It lasts so long. It is just perfection in the cooler weather. So that's Bengal Rouge from Papillon Perfumery. And this is a Jacques from Teone Reinthal Perfumery. So this one's an all-natural perfume, and this was Teone's tribute to Shalimar. So she was challenged by Nikhil, the YouTuber Exotic Scents, Nikhil, and she was challenged to create Shalimar from all natural ingredients. And if you watch her talk about it, you'll see that she kind of wasn't initially up for it too much because she doesn't want to make dupes or anything, but then inspiration hit, and before you know it almost happened without her trying. She had created Jacques, and it is beautiful. So the actual real Shalimar to me is just a bit harsh with that lemony opening, which I think comes from bergamot, but it smells very lemony to me, and it's also a little bit leathery, a bit too leathery again for my taste. This, however, is just more my taste. But the star of this perfume, in my opinion, is the vanilla. It smells similar to the vanilla in Embers, which is another one that would be fantastic for fall and winter if you have it. It is discontinued at the moment, so you can't get Embers, but this Jacques to me is reminiscent a little bit of Embers. So if you love Embers, you're probably going to love Jacques. And once sort of like the citrusy element has gently faded away, you do get the most wonderful, soft, powdery vanillic resin dried out, and it is just gorgeous, and you just get this little glow around you that's so comforting and so enticing. So yeah, Jacques, love it. This one's a little bit different. It's not so blatantly fall and winter. This is Woman in Gold from Killian, and the reason I've got this one in here is I wanted something a little different from all the richer, sweeter fragrances. This definitely has a little bit of a lightness and a little bit of a tartness to it. So it's kind of like a fruity, it's like a fruity, musky rose, really, quite simply. It's really strong though, so it's perfect. You can wear this day or night. I find it very much an out fragrance for me, although I happily wear it during the day. It's not too much, but it's special, so I kind of like to wear it at night time, and it really does have good presence. It doesn't necessarily change a lot on the skin. I think there's something like lychee in here, maybe, I don't know, I'm thinking like pink fruits, pale pink fruits, rose, a hint of a tartness, like the tartness you'd get from a grapefruit or a rhubarb, but it doesn't actually smell like either of those things, but it's the tartness that you get. And then as it dries down, there's this like musky, almost marshmallow like thing that goes on. In actual fact, it's there all along. I can smell it now, but as it dries down, you lose the edge off the sharpness of the whatever it is that's doing the tart thing, and then that's when you really start to notice this cozy marshmallowy like thing. And it's, I don't know if that's ambre, because I also recognize that same smell from the Tycoon from St. Giles that has this similar kind of like, I don't, maybe it's like a musk mallow, I'm not really sure, but it's musky, powdery, bit marshmallow like without a lot of sweetness, but it's the texture more so than that. So yeah, I just love it, and it's got such presence. It's just great for cooler weather. This is Musk Milano, and it's called Madeleine, and this was sent to me by Perfume Playground. They're a boutique, an online boutique here in the UK. We did an event way back when now, quite a few months ago, and we went through all the Musk Milanos, did a live stream, everyone got involved, and it was fantastic, and they sent this to me as part of that event. I am really enjoying Madeleine. It got a lot of hype when it first came out, and I didn't get to try it back then, and now I can really see why it got a lot of hype. It's got this sort of chocolatey, but almost like it's like a cocoa powder in the top. But it's also very musky. Have I got any space? I'm going to spray it. I haven't got much room on my skin because I'm covered in perfume, as usual. It's always the way. So it's got a citrus, I can't remember what the note is, but it's possibly bergamot, maybe even orange and lemon, I'm not sure, but it has that kind of like citrus sharpness, but the citruses are cloaked in cocoa powder and what smells to me like iris. I can't remember if iris is in here, but it has that texture and that slightly non-sweet fluffiness of iris. And as it dries down, you get a hint of some sweeter stuff. I think there's some vanilla. It's based on a dessert. It's based on a dessert in a beautiful French cafe that the owners of the brand have memories and experience of. And I want to go there, by the way. And it lasts really well, and it's just soft and fluffy. There's a cumin note. I don't get it, luckily, because I'm not a fan of cumin. The first time I smelled it, I could pick up on the cumin, but it was very, very refrained. I barely, and it was gone after a while. And since then, I've never noticed it ever. It probably lends it a spiciness, a touch of spice, and it probably just helps to keep everything from going too sweet. But it's not a note to worry about. If you hate cumin, I don't think you need to worry. You could still love Madeleine. Really gorgeous. Another cozy, inviting people in kind of scent. This is an out fragrance. I still will wear it occasionally during the day, but I love it at night time, and it's Ruby Kona from Pure Distance. This is super expensive. It's the most expensive one here. I bought it myself when Pure Distance had a deal where you got a couple of freebies with the perfume, so that's when I decided to do it. And this one is a patchouli scent, which is really not it's one of my least favorite notes, and when you first spray it, the patchouli is quite strong. It's not too earthy, it's very smooth, and it's got a brightness to it. But what I love is when it dries down, or certainly when it's changed a little bit on the skin, not necessarily into the far dry down, but give it 20 minutes, half an hour, that's when I start to fall in love. And I think that's because that's when the vanilla starts to come through. There's some rose in here. I can't remember the notes, and it's one of those, it's really quite hard to pick out the notes apart from the patchouli and the vanilla. Even the rose to me isn't that big a noticeable note. But it's smooth, it's silky, it's rich, it's very unusual. It doesn't smell like a lot of things out there. It's by perfumer Cecile Zarokian, and she's done an absolutely amazing job. It's not one to blind buy unless you're a millionaire and you don't care about wasting your money. But if you do care, you should sample it first, because it's an unusual fragrance and it's not for everyone, but it's for me for sure. It's Navitus, and it's called the Embrace. This was sent to me by the brand. Monica is the collaborator on this one, Monica Chock, and she got in touch and said, would you like a bottle? She'd already sent me samples. I really like this one, and she said, would you like a bottle? So I snapped her arm off, of course. And yeah, this is a really nice, with Navitus, I will say this, I do find a lot of their offerings are quite strong on the aroma chemicals, and they're not all for me. In fact, quite a lot of them aren't for me. And I do wonder, as much as the collaborators have an artistic direction, I do wonder if the money behind the YouTubers asks the perfumers to keep a cost at a certain cost, and perhaps ensure that the strength of the fragrance is very strong and long lasting, because that's important to a lot of people in the fragrance community. So I do wonder if that's why quite a lot of them are quite high in the aroma chemicals. But this one, I'm sure it does still have some aroma chemicals in it, of course, but it doesn't have anything that really irritates me. So any ambroxan or whatever is if it's in here, is kept to a minimum. There is still kind of like a dryness to it, which you get with a lot of aroma chemicals. But let's move on to how actually good it smells. So there's a sesame note in here, which is quite an unusual note in perfumery. And this to me though is basically, it's like an almond biscotti. So it reminds me of a couple of perfumes I've smelt before. There's one called Leche y Galletas from Ganache, and that one is very much an almond biscotti fragrance. And there's one other, but I've forgotten what it is. But basically, think almond biscuits, Italian almond biscuits, and a little bit of a nuttiness, not just from the almond, maybe from the sesame. As it dries down, you've got some woods. I think there's some cedar wood. There might be some other woods. It's musky-ish, got a little. But when I say musky, I've been asked before, when you say musky, do you mean animalic? No. Whenever I say musky, I mean clean musk, or just a little bit of fluff, a little bit of powder, you know, like that clean, fluffy powderiness that synthetic musk brings. If I was talking about real musk, I probably wouldn't refer to it as musky so much as be more talking about the animalic pungent side of a musk. So just to clarify, whenever I say musky, I'm talking clean musk, because I'm mostly only really aware of that kind of musk, unless it's a brand that uses real animal musk, which is highly rare these days. So yeah, there's a sweetness, but it is counteracted. There's some spice, there's some coffee. I think if you like Minuet et Demi, it's going to be ballpark, not the same, they don't smell the same, but they achieve the same thing. They have the same kind of level of sort of dryness and sweetness, and it's, if you like one, you're going to like the other, even though they're not the same, if that makes sense. Very, yeah, it's kind of, it's rich, but it's transparent, so it's not too heavy, not too thick. I wore this one the other day, and it's a pleasure to wear. It's really going to be the kind of fragrance that's going to get you compliments, and people are going to want to eat you. It's very delicious. So that's the Embrace from Navitus. Finally, so all of those pretty much quite expensive, so I'm sorry about that, but that's my taste. I have got a more affordable one for you now, and this is Fragranza's Amarina Cherry, should I say. And this is their dupe of Tom Ford's Lost Cherry. I'm not really into dupes and clones and stuff. I just think if you really like something, it's worth saving up for, or just getting a decant of. However, when I tried Tom Ford's Lost Cherry, I had a small sample. I was really surprised how it behaved on my skin. I know there are lots of people out there who love it, but on my skin, it started off very promising and it felt very flat. So it's very voluptuous, rich, almond and cherry. And then it kind of like just fell flat. It went to, I don't know if it was a skin scent, but it just lost its voluptuousness and kind of, I don't really remember how it went now, but it just did not perform good on my skin. This is ridiculously good on my skin. Very rich, voluptuous, almond, cherry scent that lasts and lasts and lasts. I have friends that I've made decants for of this, because my friend Lindsay, she smelt it. We wore it she chose to wear it for a night out when we were together, and so I made her a decant because she loved it so much. And I remember her texting and saying that it had lasted all night into the morning. She'd woken up with a hangover and she could still smell this coming off of her skin. So performance is amazing, and it develops lovely on the skin. It acts like a proper perfume. Sometimes I think dupes can be very thick in I guess the cheaper fragrance oils, and have to load them up so heavy to try and make them last. But this doesn't do that. It doesn't leave an oil slick. It behaves like a proper perfume. And I don't know whether, I'm assuming that they are animal cruelty free. That would be something, if that's important to you, you need to check. But if you like the way Tom Ford Lost Cherry smells, but you didn't want to buy it for ethical reasons, you could look up Fragranza and just check. I'm pretty sure they're going to be cruelty free. So there's another kind of plus, at least in the corner of the dupes. But just a really good, it's very syrupy, a touch almost like a cherry liqueur scent in there, so it's very rich, and another cozy one where people will want to eat you. That is it then. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in another video.